Money. It drives our choices. It shapes our dreams. It builds empires and destroys them just as quickly. And yet, most people misunderstand it. We assume money is about intelligence, about knowing formulas and strategies. But the truth? Money is far less about how smart you are and far more about how you behave. That's the central idea in The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. It's not a book about investing tips or financial hacks. It's a book about us, about the messy, emotional, unpredictable way people actually deal with money in real life. Because money isn't just numbers, it's psychology, it's fear and greed, it's pride and envy, it's luck and risk, it's the unique stories we grow up with, the habits we inherit, and the choices we make when no one is watching. This book is a collection of timeless lessons. Lessons that can change the way you see wealth, risk, and freedom forever. So let's walk through them. Lesson 1. Luck and risk. When we look at someone who is rich, our first instinct is to credit their intelligence or their hard work. When we see someone fail, we blame their mistakes. But reality isn't that simple. Take Bill Gates. Undeniably smart, ambitious, visionary. But here's a detail most people overlook. Gates went to one of the only high schools in the world at that time that had a computer. That single stroke of luck gave him early access to something almost no one else had. Without that chance, would Microsoft even exist? Now imagine another bright, driven person, equally smart, equally hardworking. But they start a business just before the 2008 financial crisis. The timing is brutal. They lose everything. Were they less capable or simply less lucky? This is the uncomfortable truth about money. Success is never just about skill, and failure is never just about stupidity. Luck and risk, two invisible forces, shape every financial story more than we admit. The lesson? Never judge outcomes too simply. Respect the role of chance. And remember, your own story will always be touched by forces beyond your control. Lesson 2. Personal experiences shape our money. Stories. Think about your first memory of money. Was it your parents fighting about bills? Was it getting an allowance? Was it watching them save every coin? Or watching them spend freely? That memory became a lens, and that lens still colors the way you see money today. If you grew up during inflation, you probably fear rising prices. If you grew up during a boom, you might believe opportunities always come back. Two people can stand in the same moment, staring at the same investment, stocks, real estate, crypto, and one sees safety while the other sees danger. Neither is wrong. They're just shaped by their own history. That's the problem. We like to think we're rational, but we're not. We're emotional. We're personal. Each of us is writing financial decisions based on a story only we've lived. And here's where many go wrong: copying others. We see someone making money and think, I'll do what they're doing. But their story isn't yours. Their risks aren't your risks. Their comfort level isn't your comfort level. Money isn't one size fits all. It's intimate. It's unique. It's deeply personal. Lesson 3. Reasonable beats rational. When people talk about money, they often say, be rational. But here's the problem. Humans aren't robots. We're not built to be perfectly rational. Consider buying a home. On paper, renting might be smarter. But what about the pride of ownership, the stability for your family, the sense of belonging? That's not irrational. That's reasonable. Or take investing. The rational strategy might be to put every dollar into the highest return assets. But what if that keeps you awake at night, terrified of losing it all? That's not sustainable. Being rational looks brilliant on a spreadsheet. Being reasonable is what actually works in real life. And in money, the ability to stick with a plan, year after year, decade after decade, matters far more than the perfect plan you abandon after a panic. That's why survival, not perfection, is the true key to wealth. It's not about squeezing out every mathematical edge. It's about making choices you can live with long enough for them to matter. If you're learning something new right now, take a second to hit subscribe. Drop a like too. It helps this community grow and keeps me bringing you more stories like this. Lesson 4. The power of saving and patience. If there's one habit that silently builds wealth, it's saving. Not flashy investments, not chasing the next hot trend, just the boring, steady discipline of putting money aside. Why? Because saving gives you options. It gives you room to breathe when life throws you curveballs. And most importantly, it buys you time. Think of Warren Buffett. Yes, he's a genius investor. But the real secret? He started young, and he kept going. More than 90% of his wealth was built after his 50th birthday. Not because his returns were crazy high, but because he let compounding do its quiet magic. Compounding is like planting a tree. In the first years, it looks small, almost unnoticeable. But wait 20, 30, 40 years, and it's a forest. The problem? Most people quit before the forest grows. They get impatient. They want quick results. They trade long-term security for short-term excitement. The lesson is simple. Wealth isn't built in leaps. It's built in layers. Every dollar saved, every year waited, every choice to keep going. That's where the magic lies. Lesson 5. Knowing enough. Here's a dangerous word when it comes to money. More money, more status, more recognition. And yet, how much is enough? Think of Rajat Gupta, a man who rose from poverty in India to become the CEO of McKinsey. He was worth over $100 million, but he wanted more. So, he got involved in insider trading and lost everything. On the other hand, think of Ronald Read, a janitor and gas station attendant who quietly saved and invested his modest earnings. When he died, he left behind $8 million, not because he chased more, but because he was content with enough. The tragedy is that many people never stop to define what enough means for them. And without that line, you'll keep running forever. Enough isn't about settling. It's about realizing that chasing endlessly comes with costs, stress, risk, broken trust, and sometimes downfall. So ask yourself, what's my enough? Where's the point where more doesn't actually improve my life, it just complicates it? Lesson 6. Comparison is the thief of wealth. There's an old saying, being rich is having more than you need. Being poor is wanting more than you have. And nothing makes us want more than comparison. Social media makes this worse. You see someone your age buying a car, a house, a watch, and suddenly, what you have feels small. Even if, 5 minutes earlier, you were perfectly happy. Here's the irony. The person you're comparing yourself to is probably comparing themselves to someone else. It's an endless chain of dissatisfaction. Housel's lesson is sharp here. Wealth isn't about impressing others. It's about independence. It's about freedom. The moment you start living to prove something, you've already lost control. Comparison will always whisper, more, more, more. But true wealth whispers something else. I already have enough. Lesson 7. Getting rich versus staying rich. Making money and keeping money are two very different skills. Getting rich often requires taking risks, being optimistic, and putting yourself out there. Staying rich, on the other hand, requires humility, fear, and a bit of paranoia. Think of Jesse Livermore, one of the most famous stock traders in history. He made fortunes, millions, during the early 1900s. But he also lost it all, more than once. In the end, Despite incredible talent, he couldn't hold on. Contrast that with Warren Buffett. He's not known for flashy risks. He's known for caution, for patience, for survival. He doesn't need to hit home runs. He just needs to stay in the game long enough for compounding to work its magic. The truth is, wealth isn't built in a single lucky bet. It's built by avoiding ruin, by protecting your downside, by remembering that survival is the ultimate financial strategy. Because what good is getting rich if you can't stay rich? Lesson 8. The power of long-term thinking. In money and in life, time is the most powerful force. But here's the problem. Humans are short-term creatures. We crave instant results. Imagine planting an oak tree and digging it up after a week, disappointed it hasn't grown. That's how most people treat investing. They start, they wait a little, they panic, they quit. But wealth doesn't reward impatience. It rewards endurance. Consider the stock market. On any given day, it looks chaotic. Up, down, unpredictable. But stretch that timeline over decades, and the chaos smooths into growth. The lesson? Stop staring at the day-to-day noise. Zoom out. Think in decades, not days. Because compounding doesn't just grow your money, it transforms it. But only if you give it time. Lesson 9. Humility, flexibility, and survival. Here's a truth few people want to hear. You don't have to be right all the time. You just have to avoid being wrong in ways that destroy you. Ray Dalio, one of the most successful investors alive, openly admits he's wrong often. The difference? He's humble enough to prepare for it. He builds flexibility into his strategies so that mistakes don't wipe him out. Survival is underrated. Everyone wants to talk about winning big, but staying alive, financially, emotionally, and even physically, is the real secret. Because if you're still in the game, you always have another chance. Pride, ego, and stubbornness kill more fortunes than bad math ever will. The people who thrive are the ones who say, "I don't know what will happen, but I'll make sure I can handle it." That's humility. That's flexibility. That's survival. Lesson 10. Wealth and freedom. So what is money really for? At first it seems obvious. Luxuries, comfort, security. But dig deeper, and you'll realize the greatest value of money isn't stuff. It's freedom. Freedom to wake up and decide how you'll spend your day. Freedom to walk away from a job you hate. Freedom to say no when something doesn't feel right. Most people think wealth is about having more. But true wealth is about needing less. It's about reclaiming your time, your choices, your life. Because at the end of the day, money is not the goal. Freedom is. Lesson 11. Ego is the enemy of wealth. The biggest obstacle to financial peace isn't the market. It isn't inflation. It isn't even bad luck. It's ego. Ego whispers, you deserve more. You're smarter than them. You should prove it. And the moment you start managing money to impress others, you've already lost. Think about it. How many people buy cars they can't afford, houses they don't need, or gadgets they barely use, just to project an image? That's not wealth. That's insecurity wrapped in debt. True wealth is quiet. It doesn't scream. It doesn't need validation. It's not about showing off. It's about having control over your life. The less you need to prove, the more you actually own. Lesson 12. Independence over impressing. So many people chase wealth for the wrong reasons. They think it will make others admire them. But here's the paradox. People aren't impressed by what you have. They're impressed by how you live. Independence, the ability to control your time, your choices, your path, is the highest dividend money pays. What's more valuable? A flashy lifestyle that leaves you stressed and chained to a job you hate? Or a simple, quiet life where you wake up free? Money can buy many things, but its greatest purchase is control, the freedom to write your own script. The real psychology of money. So let's step back. Money. It's not about IQ. It's not about formulas. It's not about predicting the market better than everyone else. It's about behavior. It's about humility in success and resilience in failure. It's about patience when the world screams for urgency. It's about knowing what enough means for you and having the courage to stop there. In the end, wealth isn't just measured in dollars. It's measured in freedom, in peace of mind, in time well spent. The psychology of money teaches us something powerful. You don't need to be a genius to build wealth. You just need to master yourself. So the next time you think about money, ask yourself, not how much can I earn, but what kind of life do I want it to build? Because that answer is where true wealth begins. If this video gave you a new way to see money, imagine what we'll uncover next. So hit subscribe, like, share this with a friend, and let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear your story.